Welcome to the Sporty Sibling Podcast,
where we score touchdowns and make baskets.
To Trier. Trier drives down and throws it down. Alonzo Trier.
Today they're gonna match off and talk about
Welcome back to the Sporty Sibling Podcast. We have so much to talk about this week. Of course, we're going to talk about the NFL draft. You know, we have to talk about it. A lot of great things. I mean, crazy amount of trades that happened. Like, anybody believe that? Because I don't. I did not see that one coming. Plain and simple. We also got to talk about what is going on in Colorado. Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, and that mass exodus of players. Was it part of the plan? Or is there something that we're not seeing? We don't know. We just don't know. And of course, we got to talk about the round 2 of the NBA playoffs. My boy, Stephen Curry, getting the Game 7 G-win. But, Panda, take us to our first topic. Thank you for that, Panda. And of course, we're going to get started with grading every NFL team's draft. So, I've been closely following the NFL draft, and it's clear that some teams made excellent choices while others may have fallen short. It just happens every year. Overall, there were some standout picks. Jalen Carter. Kind of. But only time will truly reveal the potential of these players in the league. No. So here are my grades for each NFL draft. For each of the team's draft, sorry. Starting off in alphabetical order from A through Z. Well, W, but whatever. We're going to start with the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals did exactly what we all thought they were going to do, and that was trade down. But then came back and surprised us all with a trade back up to number 6 to take left tackle Paris Johnson Jr. He's precisely what they needed. He's physical, intelligent. Just perfect fit there. But even then, they came away with the haul of picks for 2024, which makes you think that they aren't just thinking about this year, but the future. On day 2 and 3, the Cardinals found a few fan favorites with B.J. Ojulari, who meets a lot of needs at the defensive line with his ability to pressure on the passing downs. Getting Garrett Williams, a ball hawk corner in round 3, was stealing candy from a baby. Overall, GM Ossenford was impressive in his fresh draft with the Cardinals, getting plug-in players and stacking draft picks for the future. He still has some work to do with the lack of adding depth in certain positions, such as running back, but that is nothing that he can't improve on. So I give him an A. Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta stretched by taking B.J. Robinson at number 8. Yes, he was good with the 95.3 PFF grade in 2022, and we all know running back was not needed, especially while Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and Christian Gonzalez all were still available in the number 8 spot. So to say that this was a luxurious pick, it was a stretch. So I just need help understanding the selection. Other than that, adding Matthew Burgeson, tackle out of Syracuse, was a great addition to the offensive line, and getting edge Zach Harrison of Ohio State, he was a steal in the 3rd round. He was a great addition to Calais Campbell. Overall, I'm going to give him a B, but they're this close to a C, guys. Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens finally, thank Jesus Christ that they finally signed Lamar Jackson. So because of that, they get a B right off the bat. Adding Zay Flowers in the 1st round and Trenton Simpson in the 3rd round gives them a B+, but they get demoted to a B because I was quite impressed with the lack of the Costa's typical willing and dealing that they need to trade up and get more offensive line help and weapons. They did get Andrew Voorhees in the 7th round, though they won't be able to play him in 2024 due to a knee injury. So not really something that would help them right now, which is what they need. I will keep him at a B. So the final grade is a B, but I'm keeping him at a B because taking Kayuk Blue Kelly, cornerback out of Stanford, was a pretty good pick. The Buffalo Bills. So the Bills finally got one over in Dallas for kicking their ass in the Super Bowl, and just the NFC East just basically kicking their ass plenty of times back in the 90s. With the Bills jumping over the Dallas Cowboys to take tight end Dalton Kincaid was one of their biggest wins. With adding him, Josh Allen now has Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, and Stephon Diggs. So Allen has plenty of weapons to throw all over the field. I also love the addition of Osiris Torrance and Nick Roker for the line. Both are excellent prospects to add, and of course, just what they needed. Boasting the depth chart at linebacker was also a considerable need, so adding Dorian Williams was a great pick due to his range and wingspan. So he's perfect. I would have had a corner a lot earlier, but at least they took Alex Austin in the 7th round, so that's something. I give them a B+. Carolina Panthers. Carolina didn't goof up and pick somebody else or mess this up immensely. They picked Bryce Young with the number 1 pick in the draft, as he was the best, most highly coveted pro-ready quarterback in the draft and would be the best addition for a rebuilding Young team. Now, what will they do for weapons for Young? They traded away DJ Moore when they got the number 1 pick. They did go ahead and get Jonathan Mingo, wide receiver out of Ole Miss, whose stock had been rising all offseason, which is a huge upside but taking DJ Johnson in round 3 was a bit of a stretch. He was at best maybe a 5th round prospect. Yes, he has a huge upside, but not where they took him upside. Still, the grade is saved from a C with the addition of guard Chandler Zavala and safety Jamie Robinson. Both are impactful players with high potential for a very young team. I give them a B. The Chicago Bears. The Bears had 10 picks in the draft and they hit on most all of the choices. With the addition of DJ Moore, taking wide receiver in the 1st round was not needed. So taking tackle Darnell Wright was perfect. I would have preferred to stay at 9 and take Jalen Carter instead of trading to the 10th pick, but taking Wright meets a massive need at right tackle. Then taking Gervon Dexter and Zach Pickens in day two might have been a bit of a reach, but still great valuable picks. I love adding running back Rashawn Johnson, who played behind Bijan Robinson at Texas. Johnson at any other school or in Texas would be the starter there, and that's why he's so good. So that's why I like the pick. Adding Taylor Scott is my favorite pick for his slot receiving abilities, and he can move around all over the place. He literally moves like a running back in a wide receiver position. So I love this. Now, when in round 5 through 7, they focus on the defense, and all were solid picks from linebacker Noah Swells to cornerback Terrell Smith and even safety Keno Williamson. All great young players that can boost up this defense and really give them a chance to take the division. I give them a B+. The Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals overall did a great job filling needs, so I like them taking Miles Murphy. He is a solid rotation piece for them behind Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubert. Okay? Now, having a rotation is not a bad thing. But what I will ding them on is that they could have taken tight end Dalton Kincaid or a cornerback at their spot. But hey, it is what it is. And they did take a cornerback in the 2nd round in DJ Turner, who is a solid pick with plenty of room to grow. Taking Chase Brown in round 5 was a little questionable, given they could have taken a higher running back earlier. But he was a workhorse in Illinois with a huge upside, and he did force 83 missed tackles. So why not? I give the Bengals an A-. The Cleveland Browns. The Browns didn't pick till round 3, and they did pretty well in this draft. I was impressed. They didn't muff it up all like they usually do. Taking Cedric Tillman and Zaki Iika were perfect picks, both significant upsides, and we were very surprised they were still there by the 3rd round. Taking Dwan Jones was a win in round 4. He has developing to do, but can be a great right tackle with the right coaching. while Isaiah McGuire can be a rotational player on the defense. Now, I do question taking quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Although he's a dual threat quarterback, why get him when you have Watson? Doesn't make sense to me. But what won them the grade I gave them was getting Luke Wypler, center out of Ohio State, in round 7. He was the 54th ranked player on PFF's Pro Football Focus's big board and the 3rd best rated center on Mel Kiper's board. So taking him was a massive win for them. For that, I give them an A. My Dallas Cowboys. This class was precise. Okay, guys, they was precise. They drafted well. After much research and just looking into it, they drafted well. I'm not bad about the picks they made, and I get why they made them, but at the same time, I'm like, why? Mazi Smith is the best run-stopping defensive tackle in the class, and which instantly helps a defense that was decimated by the run. So, not a flashy pick, but a needed pick. So I get it as much as I don't like it, considering Nolan Smith was still available. My biggest question in draft was taking Luke Schoonmaker, who turns 25 his rookie season. Yes, he's a great inline tight end, but he's a project. I would much rather take Tucker Kraft or Brenton Strange. They did make it up by taking Demarion Overshown, who is an off-ball linebacker who has grown every single year while at Texas. Plus, he has boosted his run defense grade, which will help us in the long run. Also, taking Viami Kaheko is a good addition and a sleeper post, really. But what I really liked was the addition of Deuce Vaughn, running back out of Kansas State. He's a little on the small side, but he still managed a 93.4 PFF grade. So it's an excellent addition and to Polar in the running back room. Overall, I give them a B-. Denver Broncos. Overall, the Broncos had a solid draft and drafted decently. Sean Payton's first draft with Denver was pretty successful in my opinion, considering they do not have a first round pick. Taking Marvin Mims was a great decision. He truly is going to help open up Jerry Jeudy and Cordell Sutton. Then taking linebacker Drew Sanders and cornerback Riley Moss, who are both great players, was a great addition. I mean, Sanders can drop in coverage and help in the pass rush, while Moss is a ball hog, so you add him to Patrick Surtain, Damari Mathis, and Kawhi Williams, that Broncos secondary is going to be scary as hell. So I give them a B. The Detroit Lions. The Lions made some crazy moves and some reaches, especially at number 12 with Jahmyr Gibbs and at 18 with Jack Campbell. Okay, those two were reaches. Okay, this shows that this team is still young and they're still learning how to be a powerhouse. Still, I'm very proud of them because in round 2 and 3, they did improve in their draft picks, such as taking tight end Sam Laporta, who is an excellent addition to the offense, while taking Brian Branch, who can cover the secondary and make tackles all over the field. He is a great upside player. No, just needs a little bit. I was also much impressed by them taking Hanson Hooker in the 3rd round. Like everyone said, he is a great player, just needs a little development, and of course to get healthy from his injury. I wish they did more to address the defensive line, and by more, I mean more than just taking Broderick Martin was required. So, because they didn't really address everything, and those 2 reaches in the 1st round that could have really nailed them, huge picks and huge starting talent, I give them a C+. But that's better than they've done in the past. So, Green Bay Packers. The Packers had a bit of a reach with Luca Van Ness on day 1, considering Nolan Smith, amongst others, were still available. But their day 2 picks were excellent. Taking 2 tight ends and a wide receiver was perfect and just what they needed. Taking Carrington Valentine and Antonio Johnson Jr. was a great addition to the defense. The Packers did great adding help for Jordan Love that can not only grow but relieve some of the pressure of him now that he is the future of the franchise. Now, I would give him an A, but if they had taken a wide receiver in the first round, considering that many of the top wide receivers were still there when they were available, when they came on the clock. So, because of that, I give him a B+. The Houston Texans. Now, whoever started the rumor that the Texans would pass on a quarterback should be burnt at the stake, brought back to life, and burnt again. The Texans have done so much to better themselves this offseason that's just ridiculous. I mean, who in the world thought they would stick with Davis Mills and Case Keenum? Come on, people. They ended up taking C.J. Stroud with the second pick, and finally, we thought that the Texans did something right. Until they traded the number 12th pick, the 33rd pick, plus a first round and a third round pick in 2024 to the Cardinals for the third pick and the 105th pick. And in fashion, was stupid as hell. Sure, they ended up with William Anderson Jr., which is an excellent pick, but considering that they are rebuilding and need all the picks they can get, giving up so much makes you question the sanity of the decision. Then, in Texan fashion, they traded up to get Juice Scruggs, who they didn't need to trade to get. It was gonna fall to them. He was gonna fall to them when they did, and yet they still traded up. But I will give them a little bit because they did get a win by getting Tank Dell, a multi-tool weapon in both special teams and in the offense. But we will see what they do. So I give them a B-. The Indianapolis Colts. On day one, we wondered who the Colts would take, Richardson or Levis. And in the end, they went and take the high-ceiling athletic Anthony Richardson. So that gives them an A. And I give them a plus because they drafted my boy from A&M, cornerback Jalen Jones. They keep the A plus by taking Josh Downs, who is an excellent piece for the slot in the offense. But I will have to lower their Colts score because taking cornerback Julius Brent in round 2 was way too early for him. So he's a reach. I was thrilled with their day 3 prospect, tackle Blake Freeman, defensive lineman Edo Timawa at the Bauer, cornerback Darius Rush, and tight end Will Mallory. All are great additions to a young team that has a long way to go before it is in any shape to be a playoff contender. But they are heading in the right direction. So I give them an A. Jacksonville Jaguars. Trent Baalk made big deals during the first round by trading down not once, but twice. He was able to get an extra 4th, 5th, and 7th round pick, while at the same time getting tackle Antoine Harrison, a player who we know can start from day one. After that, taking tight end Brenton Strange filled a much-needed position, then taking defensive lineman Jashir Abdullah and my boy safety Antonio Johnson out of A&M were just valuable picks in the later rounds that added depth to the defense. Still, my favorite addition was Parker Washington, wide receiver out of Penn State. He's a great slot contributor and another weapon for Trevor Lawrence. I give the Jacksonville Jaguars an A+. The Kansas City Chiefs. The defending champs added defensive lineman Felix Anaduke Osuma, which is a great considering the loss of Frank Clark. But drafting Rashid Rice, wide receiver at SMU, was a bit of a stretch. Yes, he's fun and fantastic, but I would not have taken him on round 2. I was a massive fan of taking Wanja Morris, tackle out of Oklahoma. He adds depth to the right tackle spot and can be used either as a tackle or as a guard, which is useful. Overall, the Chiefs should get a C for their draft because they truly didn't assess any of the much needed positions that they needed. No, that they truly needed. But let's be serious. They still have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. So they get a B-, but only because of them too. The Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders messed up by taking Tyree Wilson at 7 over Christian Gonzalez or Jalen Carter or even Nolan Smith, who were way better prospect than Tyree Wilson, even though Wilson's upside is better. The Raiders need a start-now player that can give them multiple sacks or interceptions per season, and Wilson is just not that player right now. He's not consistent enough in that aspect. They improved things by taking tight end Michael Mayer on day 2. After that, it was once again questionable pick after questionable pick, such as Byron Young, who is a limited athlete, and even though he showed improvements, he is not a round 3 prospect. Then taking wide receiver and Trey Tucker in round 3 was 1 round too early. He's shifty, but not round 3 shifty. Then taking cornerback Christopher Meade, it was another questionable decision. I had him as an undrafted free agent, yet the Raiders thought differently. But I don't see, with only 2 truly genuine valuable picks, how this draft type can be nothing less than questionable. I give the Raiders a C. The Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers needed to help and make Justin Herbert's life easier, but by taking Zay Flowers or Jordan Addison. But they ended up deciding taking Quentin Johnson, who it was still good. It's still a good pick. He did force 19 missed tackles and averaged 17.8 yards per catch. So knowing he can get up and get those 50-50 balls helps and should ease Herbert's life, maybe not as a deep threat the way Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison would have done for Herbert, but still something. LA taking defense on day 2 was a smart move, with Tuipolatu and Dejon Hanley both can stuff the line and get to the quarterback, which we know that's something that they need considering they have Patrick Mahomes in their division. These are excellent added picks, okay? I do question them not taking a running back, given that Austin Eckler, wants a trade. But overall, this class can contribute. I wish they did go with a different wide receiver in round 1, like I stated. But it is what it is. I still give them a B. Los Angeles Rams. The Rams picks were all over the place, but most are valuable picks and can impact the Rams starting off from day 1. The Rams taking Steve Avila in round 2 was a win for an offensive line that needed help. They also added offensive tackle Warren McClendon, which is an excellent piece in my opinion. Plus, adding Byron Young is a good value next to Aaron Donnell. Defensive lineman Kobe Turner in round 3 was a reach, but still a good small pick for the defensive line. Kind of a turnaround. No, a revolving door for them. I'm also questioning why they drafted quarterback Stanton Bennett. He's an okay quarterback, but nothing more. Either ways, though, even with that quarterback pick, I still give him a B-. The Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins had 4 picks, but did a great job in free agency to fill the holes that they needed. In the draft, though, they did freaking great, adding running back Devin Achane out of Texas A&M was an excellent addition, which adds more speed to an already fast team. And cornerback Cam Smith was also great. He's a lockdown corner that can lock down any wide receiver. Getting Ryan Haynes in the 7th round was a steal. So for only having 4 picks, the Dolphins did the trust tremendously. I give them an A. I would give them an A+, but they needed more picks. The Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota did great adding Jordan Addison to pair next to Justin Jefferson and TJ Hutchinson. They're going to be a dangerous trio. Okay? They're going to be and it's going to be fun watching them. They also need a cornerback, and adding McKee Blackman and Jay Ward was perfect. Blackman allowed just 47.6% of the passes thrown, while Ward had a 65.9% completions. So put them together, bam. Nice addition. This is just what they needed. But what made this grade was taking running back DeWayne McBride. He averaged 4.6 yards after contact and had 76 forced missed tackles. Plus, He was a top 100 prospect, so to get him in the 7th round was a huge steal. I well deemed him. I'm taking quarterback out of BYU, Jaren Hall. He was productive while at BYU, but is he really an NFL caliber quarterback? I don't think so. I'll give him a B. New England Patriots. The Patriots got a steal at 17 with Christian Gonzalez. Then I love their second pick in Keon White even more. Taking safety Murray Mapu around too early, it still was a very nice deal for them. Then they made a weird day 3 picks with taking a kicker and a punter, which is something that hasn't been done since the 2000 Raiders did it. But overall, the picks filled needs that they needed. So it's not a draft that we expected from Bill Belichick, but it's a decent draft. I give him an A. The New Orleans Saints. The Saints reached a bid with picks like Isaiah Foskey and Kendra Miller. Both are great players, but were taken way too early, and there were way better choices at the time of when they got on the clock. On the positive, they did take Nick Salvaderi, who played right tackle. Now, there is some rumors, and some people have said that they'll gonna shoot him to the inside as a guard, but it shouldn't be an issue for him. After that, I did want to give him an A, but taking Jake Harner, quarterback out of Fresno State, who Mel Kiper compared him in size and mechanics to Drew Brees, but I still question it. We all know that at best he's a backup, not a starter. I mean, I just don't see the mechanics and the size, in my opinion. So, I'm giving him a B. I would have even given him a C, but the addition of A.T. Perry, wide receiver out of Wake Forest, was a good addition in round 6. So, B-. The New York Giants. The Giants took cornerback Deontay Banks, center John Michael Smith, and wide receiver Jalen Hyatt, all of which were in Mel Kiper's top 45 list, which is huge for them. Then taking running back Eric Gray was even better. He produced a 90.6 Pro Football Focus grade. He's elusive, and even though he's small, he does not play like it, which is an excellent compliment if and when Saquon Barkley decides to come back. Then, focusing the rest of the picks on the defense is perfect, considering the NFC is getting stacked on offense. They aren't day one starters, these defenses they got in the later rounds, but are good depth pieces that can be starters with some coaching. I give the Giants an A. The Jets. The Jets could have done a lot with the 15th pick, but taking Will McDonald IV was a safe pick, which then taking center Joe Tippmann and offensive lineman Carter Warren were both great additions, considering they just got Aaron Rodgers. They needed to add weapons, which is something they didn't do other than adding tight end Zach Ertz. This is not the best choice, but he is a good round 6 prospect. Overall, the Jets did not do enough to shore up the offensive line, which does worry me a bit. But I still give them a B-. The Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles got defensive lineman Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, safety Sidney Brown, cornerback Killian Ringo, and Maro Jumbo. All players who can immediately help the defense that free agency decimated. Then they added offensive tackle Tyler Steen, who has traits that everyone loved and can improve, especially right behind Jason Kelce. And if you really wanted to, he can be Kelce's replacement if and when he decides to retire. Then they added DeAndre Swift via trade, so the Eagles truly loaded up in this draft. I give them an A+, which hurts my heart. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Adding a legacy like Joey Porter Jr. makes this a special day for all Steelers Nation, but taking offensive tackle Broderick Jones was the best decision. He's a day one starter and just what they needed to protect Pickett. Then Porter, Keanu Benton, and Darnell Washington all could contribute on both sides of the ball. So overall, I give him an A. San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers didn't pick until round 3. and most picks were valuable, even kicker Jake Moody, who had PFF grades of 90.2 and 91.7 the past 2 seasons. Jair Brown fell to them in round 3, while tight end Cameron Latu had many upsides and compliments to George Kittle as well, while linebacker D. Winters and Jalen Graham were all pretty solid additions. I am questioning why they did not focus on the offensive line, considering that they lost McGlinchey and who truly trusts McAvest. Because of that, I had to give them a C. The Seattle Seahawks. I kept saying Witherspoon was a wild card since I couldn't figure out where he should go. It could be the top 5 like he did, or it could be around 3. But I do like the pick overall. I also love the addition of wide receiver Jackson Smith and Jiba. They both filled needs immediately, plus watching Jackson and DK will be so much fun. I wonder why they went ahead and took Zach Charbonnet, running back out of UCLA. They needed more offensive line and defensive line help, yet they took him, which doesn't make sense. Overall, I did like them taking guard Antonio Bradford, defensive lineman Cameron Young, defensive lineman Mike Morris, and center Olusegun Olewatimi. They are all solid picks that went later than I expected. Do not get me wrong, they aren't perfect, but with a little coaching, they're gonna be massive wins. I give Seattle an A. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs had a simple yet quiet draft. Nothing flashy, but much needed picks. Starting with defensive lineman Kalijah Kancey, that was a steal at 19. I honestly didn't think he was going to be there at this point. Then taking offensive lineman Cody Mauch was a huge win. He can play all 5 positions on the line. Now, per reports, they're going to use him as a guard, but I think they maybe should keep him at right tackle. Either way, he can play the position. Then get in defensive lineman Jaya Dabi, linebacker Sirvoka Dennis, cornerback Josh Haynes, defensive lineman Jose Ramirez, and cornerback Carrington Valentine all have significant upside and can be starters for the Bucs. For that, I give them an A. Tennessee Titans. Ran Carter's first draft in Tennessee went pretty okay. He wanted to move on from Malik Willis. That was obvious, and took Will Levis, which apparently everyone's a fan of. But taking Peter Skoronski was a huge win for them. He was a top lineman in the draft, so getting him was great. Then adding running back Tajay Spears was great. He forced 63 missed tackles, so a great compliment to the running back who already has one of the best running backs in the league in Derrick Henry. I was not thrilled they did not add any wide receiver help, but adding offensive lineman Jalen Duncan was a good addition. So they get a B+. And of course, last and surely not least, the Washington Commanders. The Commanders muffed it up in the draft, in all the rounds really, by not taking quarterbacks Will Levis or Hendon Hooker. So they get dinged for that right off the bat. I do like that they took Emmanuel Forbes, but there were so many better options on the board when they got on the clock. Once taking him, it didn't make sense for them to take cornerback Jartavius Martin. Some will say, well, they took him because he plays nickel corner, but still, why take him when you have Forbes who can also play nickel? They get points for adding center Ricky Stormberg and tackle Brandon Daniels, which they need help with, considering how beefed up the NFC is. Tennessee has gotten on defense. But them not taking a quarterback when there were 2 good, decent quarterbacks available, they get dinged for that. They get a B-. You're lucky that you don't get a C. So, analysts may have their opinions, but the ultimate test lies on the field. It's always fascinating to see how each team draft is evaluated, but the true measure of success will unfold as the season progresses. But Panda, take us to the next topic. Thank you, Panda. Now we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs round 2. Basketball fans are in for a treat as the NBA playoffs move on to the second round. This round promises to be more intense and exciting than ever, considering you got Golden State versus the Lakers, Nuggets versus the Suns, Knicks versus the Heat. Just so exciting. With top teams and players in the league battling for the ultimate prize for a chance to move on to get a championship. But let's move on and get started. The Nuggets versus the Suns. The Nuggets took Game 1 versus the Suns 125-107, with Nikola Jokic going for 24 points, 19 rebounds, and 5 assists, while Kevin Durant had 29 points and 14 rebounds and 1 assist for the Suns. The Nuggets took the edge by being able to rebound and assist better than the Suns, but what truly helped them was this 14 steals while shooting a 43.2% from the three-point line, while the Suns could not get a solid three-pointer and of course allowed the 14 steals. The Nuggets also had 6 double-digit players while the Suns only had 4. In the end, Nuggets were the way better team, and even Jokic, who had a bad game, they were still able to show very much dominance over the Suns and what everyone says one of the greatest players in Kevin Durant, and win the game. So for that, I give the series to the Nuggets in a 4-1 win. Heat versus Knicks. The Heat and Knicks are here in round 2. I completely 100% did not expect that, but looking at this series, it's going to be interesting. The Heat have Jimmy buckets, but for them to move on, Jimmy will need another enormous performance, especially now that Tyler Hero is out with a broken hand. The Knicks also have plenty of weapons to throw at Butler, such as Josh Hart, Quentin Grimes, and RJ Barrett. So to say that he has his hands full is an understatement. Now, the Knicks have issues of their own with Julius Randle out with the sprained ankle. He sprained his ankle at the end of the regular season, and when he came back during the Cleveland series, he was less than helpful, shooting just 33.8%, 8 for 34, and 3-point range from the 3-point range. It was apparent that he was still pretty much hurt. So hopefully this rest will be able to help him come back and be his old self, but we'll have to wait and see. I am also a big fan of how the Knicks have controlled the offense with center Mitchell Robinson at the helm. But it might be different here since the Heat posted the 4th best defensive rebounding rate in the NBA. If the Knicks can keep control, they have a chance. In the end, I do have to pick a winner, and after considerable surprises in the first round, I will keep the shocks coming and go with the Heat in a 4-2 series win. Don't be surprised. The Knicks could surprise us and even take it to a Game 7, given that both teams are playing pretty well, and who knows if Jimmy could have another big performance. The Warriors versus the Lakers. The Lakers face their biggest challenge to date with the Golden State Warriors and future Hall of Famer Stephen Curry. This is an even matchup with both teams averaging a difference of 3 points per game, 3 rebounds per game, and 3 assists per game. Meaning that one person has a good game, they can take it by 3. But they can have a bad game and they can lose by 3. That's how close it is, ladies and gentlemen. The Lakers have plenty of players averaging double-digit points outside of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, which will help them versus Golden State, meaning that they don't have to rely on LeBron James or Anthony Davis having superhero abilities or games to be able to keep them in the game. Now, I am worried that the Lakers are putting so many minutes on LeBron and Davis, but the addition of Russell and Hachimura has helped some. That is still yet to be seen of how much help it truly is in an entire playoff series. Meaning that, this one and the next one, I think, but if they get past this, it might mean something different. On the other hand, Golden State has been excellent. They were down to the Kings, but came back in a historic Game 7 performance by Curry. But even without that version of Curry, they were able to take 3 games from the Kings to force that Game 7, which was fantastic. I mean, it was great. I mean, give it to the Kings for giving the Golden State a fight, but Golden State for coming back like, damn. What makes all this more impressive is that Golden State has been more balanced as of late, which makes this series a lot more interesting, simply because they can win in many different ways. But as with everything, I do have to pick a winner. So, I give it to the hot team in the city, the Golden State Warriors, in a 7-game series, 4-3. Meaning that they're going to go to Game 7, ladies and gentlemen. Do not get me twisted. They're going to Game 7. There is no way in hell that they're not going to Game 7. Well, unless Stephen Curry gets hurt or LeBron James gets hurt. Then if them two gets hurt, then that changes everything. But if they're both healthy, yeah, interesting. 76ers versus the Celtics. The series will be decided right before it even starts due to the health of Joel Embiid. He suffered a sprained LCL in his right knee during Game 4 of the Brooklyn series. For Game 1, Doc Rivers said that Embiid would be probably 50% at best. When healthy, we saw what Embiid could do to the Celtics as he did when they played in the regular season. He did go for 52 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists. Lucky for the 76ers, they were able to rally over Brooklyn and move on to the second round. Even if Embiid does come back, the Celtics do have an ace in the hole with them. Because when they are shooting 40% from the three-point line, they are 34-2. So if they can do that, they can give them a run for their money. And given that Boston is averaging 10 more three-pointers than Philly, this could be their ace in the hole. Although, like everything else, we have to pick a winner. So, I'm actually given that Embiid is hurt, and we have no actual timetable for his return, I'm giving the series to the Celtics in a 4-1 win. Now, I will add this. If Joe Embiid does come back and is healthy, 76ers take it in a 4-2 win. That's my thing. In the end, fans can expect to be on the edge of their seats as they root for their favorite teams to emerge victorious. It just will be interesting to see which team will rise to the top and be crowned champion. All we can do is wait and see. But Panda, take us to the next topic. Thank you, Panda. Yeah, the question here is, what is going on in Colorado? The Colorado Buffaloes football team is experiencing a significant departure from its roster. This trend began on April 15 when 12 players entered their names into the transfer portal when it reopened. Since then, another wave of departures has followed, which includes some surprising players such as Montana Lemanus Craig, who was a starter in the spring game but left the program the following day. Furthermore, Colorado's leading receiver and leading rusher from last year, along with 36 other players from the 1-11 team, have also entered the portal. It's worth noting that since head coach Deion Sanders was hired in December, he has been transparent about his plans to overhaul the roster. So far, 43 new and former players have entered the portal, and Sanders and his staff have added 51 new faces, leaving them with 22 available scholarship spots. However, they still need to be finished, as the roster will continue to add and subtract as the weeks progress. Although the program has added notable players such as Travis Hunter, Dylan Edwards, and Shedeur Sanders, the roster still needs much more upgrades. With over 23 players leaving since the spring game, how many players Colorado can add? How will the Colorado players before training camp to upgrade their roster? No, and that remains to be seen. Not only do they need more players, but they also need high quality players. They not just need bodies, they need people. In the end, Buffalo has more holes, honestly, to fill than much any other teams that I've seen. not just in the starting lineup, but throughout their depth chart. And although a new staff inherited a program coming off a one-win season, they have a big picture plan to shift the talent and culture. However, with the high level of turnover, there is still little room for error this coming season. While the staff there insists that this was the plan, which, in my personal opinion, I don't think it was, some players they wanted to keep, such as offensive lineman Jake Wiley and cornerback Jico Reed, have left Colorado. Hence why, again, I say this was not in their plan. Colorado needs to figure out how to fill these holes as they need the depth on special teams and in case of injury. Losing a significant number of players could impact the program for the next few years if they can't replace the numbers soon. And with that being said, I don't think they are. The coming months will be crucial for the Buffalo as they continue to rebuild their team and prepare for the upcoming season. Since April 15, the Buffalo have had 31 players enter the portal and 18 left after the spring game. Although Sanders is open about his plans to upgrade the team's talent, losing some of the team's key players could be detrimental to the program. In fact, I will rephrase and say that it is detrimental. It proves that Deion Sanders is either screwing something up or something is being screwed up in this family environment. Nonetheless, Sanders remains determined to move forward and make necessary decisions to build a winning team. Deion Sanders, this isn't HBCU. This is the big boys. Nothing against HBCU. But you're in the big boys league now. Do you really think that that's how this works? Just because you got 2 jackets that not everybody can get doesn't mean that you can get the one thing that you're probably never going to get. And that's a national championship. And maybe a Super Bowl as a coach. We do hope, though, that he's able to reload the team with players that he identifies with quickly. It is concerning to see so many people leaving Colorado all at once. And I'm honestly unsure what's driving this mass exodus, because that didn't happen when he went to when he was at his last place, and yet it's happening here. My question to everybody is, what's your take on this? Is it a plan? Was it planned? Or was this on purpose, or was this a mistake? Was it a mistake hiring Deion Sanders? I mean, Jake Wiley was a great offensive lineman for Colorado, and Deion Sanders came out and said he wanted to keep him. Same, and I'm not going to butcher his name, but Montana Lemanus Craig, he was also another great receiver for them. He said he's a tremendous player. To me, as much as I respect Deion Sanders as a person and as a player, as a coach, I think he's stepping over his bounds to be able to rebuild a team that was 1-11 last season. I understand that's hard to do. But to be able to do that, and with this mass exodus, you done fucked up somewhere, Deion. You done fucked up somewhere. I don't care how many rings you have in your hand, how many jackets that I can get you have, you fucked up somewhere for a mass exodus of young men to leave your team. Because if you're as great as you say you are, people should be flocking to you. And I understand that certain players aren't going to fit your scheme or your mentality, and that's understandable. And you expect, especially in a coaching turnover, to be a turnover rate. Okay, to be some kind of turnover in a team. Every team has it when new coaches come in. It happens, and we get that. But to have over 40 players enter the draft, and not just new and old players, but your star players to leave, When some have come out and said that the coaches don't talk to us, there's not a family environment anymore. Dion fucked up somewhere. And I think the big boys are finally realizing that Dion is not as great a head coach as we think he is. Because I'm sorry to HBCU, you're not a top 5 conference, in the top 5 conferences. Colorado is. You are not Jimbo Fisher. Or Nick Saban. Kirby Smarts. You are Deion Sanders. And if you're going to make it in the top 5 conferences, this mass exodus needs to have a definition. I don't believe this was part of their plan. He fucked up somewhere. Panda, take us to our final topic. Or whatever we have next. Thank you, Panda. And as you guys see, or saw, sorry, that is the end of the show. That is all the time that we have. I appreciate what you guys for you guys listening. As always, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think of my draft grades. Were they good? Were they bad? Would you have gone up, down? Tell me who you think is going to win the series in the NBA in round 2. I mean, really, could go either ways. I still think the Golden State Warriors are going to take out the Lakers, but hey, we'll see. I'm kind of hoping the Knicks take out the Heat, just for the fun of it. Give the Knicks fan base some something to pump in their blood. And let me know what you think about the Colorado mass exodus. Did Deion Sanders fuck up, or is this all part of the grand plan for him? Let me know. Also, as always, guys, follow us on all social media. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere. And also follow the RYM Network on all of social media as well. As always, our shows are on Wednesday on the RYM YouTube page and on Saturday on Roku TV. So stick around and find out. So thank you so much for listening, guys. We do appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.